I had a client who I've sold a home to, beautiful home in Baltimore, so in Roland Park. And he is going through a transition in his career and decided to reach out to say, you know what, Matt, what you do looks fun, right? I've always loved real estate. And Katrina's had this conversation, how many, thousands of times by now?
Thousands of times.
And so she's perfect to do it. I don't get these conversations every day. She does. And so he expressed interest. I love, real estate shows. I've always had an interest. Man, I want to do what you do. It looks easy. Like I see it on social media. You're having fun. You're closing houses. You see all the smiles. Let's do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's good times. And so, it's really challenging to have a conversation with someone, to be honest, right? I care for him. He's a really good guy, family man, and he has to make a choice about the next steps in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a conversation I wanted to have with you, is like, what advice would you have? And we're recording this, by the way, in May of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do you tell people when they come to you and say, I'm thinking of getting into this career called real estate. I want to do it. Looks fun, looks relatively easy, right? Mm-hmm. I love houses. I love people. What are you telling people right now? You have these conversations all the time with people transitioning into real estate or thinking about it.
I would say that it's really the same conversation no matter what the market is, even though our market right now is not the most fun market to be in, to be honest, is that I ask them why. What's the reason you want to get into real estate? And when people tell the truth, it's because they want to make money. They see that real estate is an opportunity to make a bunch of money, which is true, by the way. And in general, the people who don't say money, it's, I want to make an impact. I want to help people. You can be a teacher, make an impact and help people. You could go work for a nonprofit. Why real estate? And it's because it's helping people and it's making a bunch of money. And that's what they see. They see Selling Sunset. They see Matt Ryan. They see people who are successful.
Let's be very honest, and then we'll continue. But what percentage of people make, quote unquote, great money in real estate?
Maybe like 2%.
2%.
It's the number of people who make over $100,000 in real estate is a very small number.
Yes.
And nine out of 10 people don't make it. 9 out of 10 people who get the real estate license don't make it. And it's because they get in to make money. I mean, even in our office, we have somebody who runs a pretty large nonprofit, sells real estate on the side to help fund the nonprofit. But in order to run a nonprofit, you have to have profit. Every business needs profit. We've got this kind of idea that the pursuit of money is bad. It's the love of money that's bad. It's the love of all of the things in our world that make it so that the pursuit of money is good. And so people who get in for money, that's good. If you don't want to make money, you shouldn't get into real estate because it's too hard. If what you really want is to make 50, 60 grand and live a simple life, don't get into real estate. It's too hard to not go all out and want to make a lot of money. But in order to have profit, you have to have closings. In order to have closings, you have to have contracts. Contracts, you have to have agency agreements. In order to have agencies, you have to have consults. In order to have consults, you have to have leads. In order to have leads, you have to have lead generation, in that order. And what people think about when they think about real estate is they think about that consultation, sitting down. Matt, what are your real estate goals? Let me help you get there. They think about negotiating the contract. They think about showing the houses. They think about the home inspection. What they don't think about is, where does the buyer come from? Where does the seller come from? And it's very different than, like right now we're in a podcast studio. And how long have you been recording here?
We just discussed that. I think about 6 months now.
About 6 months.
Yep.
So Matt is a repeat client of this studio. As long as he continues to be happy with the service, he will continue to bring business to this business, and he will continue to refer it. When did you buy your house, Matt?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. When do you plan on moving?
According to my wife, never.
Never.
Yeah.
Never. Mm-hmm. So I just moved last summer, and I'm going to die there. So unless I have a real estate desire that is outside of my personal residence, which most people, it's their personal residence, if I was working with another realtor other than myself, I'm done. So the business of lead generation in real estate is very different than most other businesses, where somebody who's an insurance salesperson, they bring in a client, they continue to have that book of business over time. Even a car salesman. We were just discussing, how often do you get a new car?
Every 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. Every 3 or 4 years. And you have a wife who also has a car. So you might have a 2-year turnover in cars. So your car salesman, they keep in touch. They're going to get business from you once every 2 to 3 years.
Which they never do, by the way.
They never do because they don't follow up.
Yep.
And in real estate, it's, 7 to 15 years, depending. So you're constantly having to throw more people into the top of the funnel, more business. And Fewer people are buying houses. So I would say I really dig in with new agents on that lead generation piece of, are you willing to do what it takes? That if you don't have any clients, you're going to go out and find clients, and you're going to continue to lead generate, talk to as many people as you can every day. And many people don't want to do that.
And I want to be clear, this is not the reason we're doing this conversation today isn't to scare someone out of ever considering real estate. I think it's just like the conversation I had with my past client. I want to be honest with them about what this is and what this isn't, because the easier thing to do would be, oh, I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. Just come on in. And you don't recognize a number of challenges and things you overcome. And even successful people sometimes bow out for a lot of reasons, because this is not we don't get the traditional life that someone in a normal job would get. This is a very bizarre world we're living in. And we were just discussing, it might be a whole episode for another podcast about the lifestyle and how it can consume you. And, so I guess we can go into that later, but I don't want to get too sidetracked. I'm just trying to emphasize that this isn't to discourage someone who might be listening to this from getting into it. It's just it's recognizing the reality of what this is.
And I think one of the reasons why you and I are friends is because we don't sugarcoat things. We are who we are. We're going to be authentic in whatever it is. And what I think that real estate is an incredible career. It is an opportunity to make an impact on your world and people's legacies, and to create wealth for families that didn't have that. Like, the opportunity in real estate is so incredible. And where there is great opportunity, there's also great responsibility. And it creates a whole different level of challenges that if you're not ready to get in, you're not ready to do the work. Real estate's super flexible. You can work whichever 16 hours of the day you want.
Yep.
And it's like one of those old-fashioned water pumps. Remember those where you pump it like
Sure.
10 times and water comes out? You never know exactly how many times you're going to need to pump it to have water come out. You just can't quit.
Is this an easy or challenging time to start in real estate, in your opinion, in terms of the market?
It depends on how you're looking at it. Have you ever heard of and this might be a totally fictional story I'm about to tell, and I've heard it multiple times, so I'm going to pretend like it's real.
Sure.
If it is fictional, the guy who wanted to throw the discus in the Olympics. Have you ever heard that story?
No, but don't let truth get in the way of a good story.
Indeed. So it was back in the day when there was no internet, there was none of that. So he decides he's going to compete in the Olympics and he's going to throw the discus. So he goes to the library and he looks up the specs for the discus. And then he looks up the record for the discus throw. He has a discus made and he starts training to throw it that far. He never gets to the record and he's really discouraged. When he gets to the Olympics, he realizes that he had the old specs. And now, instead of being made of all metal, the discus is made of part metal, part wood. And he blows the records out of the water because he is so used to throwing the heavier thing that now when it's lighter, it's going to be easy. Anyone who is getting into the industry right now is throwing the metal discus. They are coming in at an extremely challenging time. And yet those who survive, they are going to find when this market shifts again, because that's the only thing constant in our market is it's going to change. When it shifts again, they're going to find it to be so much easier.